Boolean.
String.
Okay, what's a Boolean?
Boolean is
True or false.
Okay.
Stored as 0 or 1.
You got
Zero is what?
False.
And 1 is
True.
You got char, which is a character.
Yeah, so any character, right? And what are characters represented as for a...
0 through 9.
No, not 0 through 9. Represented as a value, remember? As like a decimal value?
Yeah.
Okay. What are the other three? What are the other three types that we learned? Right?
Integer.
Integer, which is a...
Do we already do floats?
Yeah, we didn't say floats yet. But an integer is a...
0 to 9.
It's just any number.
Any whole number. And then a float
Is
decimal number, right? So 4.5, for instance.
and a string.
And then string, which is a...
Series of characters.
Yeah, series of characters. Boom, that's pretty good. So we're going to be learning about Python, and those are basically the main variable types we'll have to know. Honestly, I'm not going to read from the board, right? I'm just going to give you some examples. Let's say we have this example code that they gave us here. What is the first thing, what's line 1 doing, first of all? Anyone could give me that.
It's declaring what a variable is.
Yes, and what value is it assigning?
1.
It's assigning 1, which is a
Integer.
yes. So, okay, one thing in Python, you don't have to define what variable you're trying to assign to something, right? Like, for instance, in C, like the C programming language, whenever you define a variable, you have to specify what type it is. So I have to specify an integer if I want to specify an integer variable, or a string if I want to specify a string variable. What's nice about Python is that you can specify any kind of variable type, like an integer, string, stuff like that. Handles it perfectly. So right here, it's declaring x, right? And it's storing the value 1 into that variable. Now, what else is it doing exactly? From lines 3 to 4.
Okay, it's checking if X
Can you guys see the board?
yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
If X equals 1, it prints out X is 1.
Yes, okay. So it prints out x is 1 to where?
The constant.
The console. Yes, perfect, cool. Okay, so it prints out x is 1 to the console if x equals 1. So x equals 1 returns true, and then it does the following. I run this, and I get the output. Okay. We're not going to focus about the exercise, just going to the next thing. So, what is this script.py doing from lines 1 to 2?
Well, it's calling a variable called myInt, setting its value to the integer 7.
Yes.
And then our second line is printing the variable myInt.
Yes, and then so the output would be? 7, perfect. We run this, and we get 7. Now, one thing I want you guys to consider about variable types. Is this an integer, or is this a string?
Integer. Which one?
Integer. Okay. Now, why is that though?
It's not parentheses around it.
Quotations. No quotations. Yeah. Now,
quotation marks, singular.
If I had quotation marks around it,
It's now 7.
it doesn't output. It doesn't look like it's a string, but trust me, it is actually considered a string. If let's say I try to do this instead, right? There we go. Okay.
String.
So it's a string now because I put quotation marks around it. If I remove quotation marks, it's now an integer, right? So that's the key difference. If it has quotation marks around it or single quotes, it's a string. If it doesn't, then it's an integer. And you have to remember that whenever you're manipulating data or variables or stuff like that. Let's say you had a challenge that said, I want you to convert all these values inside a file into integers, but they're all represented as a string. That's why you have to consider that, because now they're a string and you want to convert it into an integer, but you can't because it's a string right now. Okay, we'll move on from that. So what's happening in our next script? We have myFloat equals 7.0, and what's happening exactly?
He's calling a variable named myFloat, the value of 7.10.
Okay.
Printing the variable myFloat.
Yep.
Third line is saying myFloat, the variable, is going to be a float. That's what the float says, and it's going to be the value 7. So when it prints myFloat, it's going to be 7.0 because it's just a float now.
Yes, that's correct. So this line will print the float 7.0, And this line will print the float of 7, which in this case is also 7.0. I run this, and it converts the value 7 into a float, right? Let's say I just said integer instead. Now when I run this, I just get 7 as the integer. Okay, so our next line, strings. What do we have here, and what's the difference?
Hello is a string, and then it says printed.
Mm-hmm.
Hello is also another string.
The only difference is that one uses double quotations, the other one uses single quotations.
Yes, and the reason there isn't much of a huge difference between using double or single. The only difference is if you're wanting to use double quotes inside single quote strings. So when I run this, I'll get a double quote right there. Or if I wanted to use single quotes inside a double quote string, and right there I get a double quote. Okay, what is this script doing right here?
The variable name 1 has a value of the integer 1. 2 always has a value of integer 2.
Uh-huh.
And 3, the variable name 3, is equal to the variable 1 plus 2. And then when you print 3, it's going to take the variable 1 and 2 and add it together to get 3.
Yes, okay, perfect. Now, our next part, we have past lines 6 through 9. What's that doing?
It declares that hello equals hello in quotations to
Okay.
make it a string.
Yep.
And it does the same thing with float, but float instead. And then it makes another variable, hello world, and then it equals the hello, and then adds it to quotations plus world.
Yes.
And then it prints hello world.
And the 2 quotation marks are just meant to be a space between, so it doesn't be switched together.
Yes. So so basically that's what it does, right? It prints out both strings combined, hello world, and adds this little section to add a space. I print this out and I get hello world, right? What this is doing, think of it as like just adding 2 strings together, right? If I were to, let's say, change this into like Sam me, right? It'll print out hello as Sam and then world as dummy. So Sam dummy, you know what I'm saying? And then of course the space in the middle is to add that space.
Kind of gay.
Cool.
So if I were to get rid of that space, for instance, I don't have a space there anymore. Okay. Our next point right here. What is this function doing, and what values are being assigned to each variable?
Well, the variable A has been assigned the value integer 3. The
Mhm.
variable B has been assigned the value integer 4, and then it prints out both variable A and B.
Yes, so it prints out 3 and 4. So think of it as like an order, right? No matter how big I'm assigning variables, right? Whether I'm doing something like this, think of it as like it's going to order. A goes into 3 for the first coming. You know what I'm saying? B 4, C 5, D 6. I print these out, and then I get those values: 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, let's move on for the next one. All right, now we have this script. What's this script doing?
Well, the variable named 1 has an integer value of 1.
Mhm.
2 has an integer value of 2. The variable hello is equal to the string hello.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trying to print integers and strings together, but because it can't do that.
We can't do that because
It's
Because-
integers and then a string. You can't, and integers try
Yes,
to add each other.
you can't combine them. So the only way I could do that is to make these integers into a string. When I do it now, I get 1, 2, hello. Now, a little off topic, but very important if you're wanting to add multiple integers and strings together, is called a formatted print statement. So, let's say I wanted to combine the integers 1, 2, and then the string hello together. What I do is I put an F before my quotation marks. What that means is stating I want it to be formatted. I'm wanting to format these strings. So I'm doing my print statement, right? I'm specifying a formatted string by saying F before my quotation marks. I'm using the plus sign to combine these strings together. and then I'm specifying another F for another formatted string.
Jail. Go.
Okay, let's go. Let's reconvene and let's declare. Let's figure out what this script is doing. Okay. There's a lot, so let's break it down to what you know so far. What's happening? Let's break it down from the top. What's happening here from lines 1 to 4?
Oh, we call
it's
them the name
saying
of
that
the
all the
variable, but give
variables
them no
have
actual
nothing.
value.
Oh, wait,
It's defining-
this is an exercise, isn't it? Okay, never mind. Okay, well, anyway, so what? Here, I'll just explain it then.
No, I got it.
You got it?
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Let's see.
All right, so 2, 3, 4 is defining our three integer like things like a string, float, and integer,
Mm-hmm.
and
But right now they're defined as
Nothing.
nothing,
But
which
if you go-
is
which is okay.
No.
Syntax error.
no syntax error. It's just a unrepresented data.
Mhm. And then 7 through 12 is your information on how you're going to change that. Such
Yes.
as it says if your string is hello,
Mhm.
you change it to hello.
Yep.
It will print
Your string.
your string. And same thing for your float. If you put it to 10.0, it'll print your float. And then if you put your integer to 20, it will print your integer.
Perfect. Nice. Okay. Next thing we're going to be learning about is lists. So how we represent data. How we represent multiple data sets.
I don't know
Okay.
how far back it is.
What are we doing on line 1?
You are
Setting a
declaring
list.
a list.
Declaring a list. Okay. And right now that list has
Nothing.
Nothing.
nothing. Okay. What are we doing on lines 2 through 4?
You're appending spot number 1, spot number 2.
You're setting spots for your lists.
No. Very close. Very close. Okay. So what appending is doing is it's adding to our list. And the value, it's appending to that list are values, right? What values do we have inside the parentheses?
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3, which are
Integers.
integers. Okay. And when we declare a value inside a list, right, or any data set for that matter, it starts at the index 0
Yo.
and it moves on from there on out.
To infinity and beyond.
To infinity and beyond. So, one thing I like to mention, right, a little off topic, but not entirely, is that how memory is allocated, right, is basically how lists are allocated. So, whenever you're doing stuff through memory like or from storage, it always goes from the 0 index, right? From like the very beginning, from the 0th index, right? Just think of that as that. What?
I thought you allocated.
No. Okay. So when we print my list and when you're declaring the index, you have to do brackets.
Yo.
So when we declare, when we're printing off my list at the index 0, what is it printing?
It's printing 1, 2, and 3.
Dang it. Okay. Well, yeah. So it's printing 1, 2, and 3, right? From index.
Forehead count.
What
I
does
didn't
index?
read that.
What does index 0 print?
1.
1,
What does index 2 print?
3,
3. Yes. And what does index 1 print?
2.
2. Perfect. And this for loop.
What is index a million print?
Nothing.
Your
No.
mom.
What?
Yo.
No.
Your mom. This is a picture mom made.
All right. A little bit of a challenging thing right here. What is this for loop doing? Bonus points for consulting.
For X in my list print.
For how many times my list is printed, it will print X.
A print list.
Okay. Let's consider that like this, right? The for loop is of course a loop, right?
Oh,
It
no,
prints-
I think I see it.
It prints
It's
the
for,
entire list.
it's for everything,
Yeah.
it's for every single thing represented, it will print its own list. Like,
But what happens when x equals like 3? What happens when x equals 3? What happens then?
print 3.
No. What if
It'll
that's
print 1 through 3.
not 1 through 3, but
0.
0 through 2, right? Because that's the index. Okay.
Oh.
So for x, we're not declaring x, right? Think of it as scope again, right? We're declaring x, but not actually declaring it because we can't use x anywhere else except in this for loop. Like for instance, if I'm outside of the for loop, and I did print x, that won't work because it's going to be outside of the scope. So what x is doing is it's adding an interval, right? Like +1, like addition. Think of this like addition, right? First starts at 0, finds the index of 0 in my list, which is, of course, the 0th index, which is 1. Then it moves up, right? So we'll do, x equals 1 now, which is the 1 index of my list. And then that prints 2. And then x equals 2 now. And then it finds the second index of my list, and then prints 3, right? If I run this, you can see it right there. Okay, now we have this one. What is going on here? What is going on with this script right here?
So it's trying to find index 10, but it does not.
It does not exist because it's out of range, right? It's when we run this, we get an error because it's the list index is out of range, right? It only has how many indexes?
0 through 2.
That's the confusing part. There's 3 indexes, right?
Yeah, 3 is if you want to count it, but basically 0 through 2.
Yes, but 0 through 2 for representing the number of the index. Now we're on to basic operators. So in elementary, what do you guys learn in math?
I don't know.
1
Why?
1
What? No. Like in math, what are the operators? The basic.
Addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, then you've got your
Fraction.
exponents and fractions, and finally the quadratic form.
Yes. So yeah, of course,
the remainder.
the basic
division.
algorithmic.
The square
stuff.
root, the cube root.
So like the addition, multiplication, division. There's subtraction. There's exponents.
I think
There's
we have to find the
Ah.
and then
cube root.
and
of
and then there's
36.
also modulus as well. But we might not get to that one. So we have this script right here. Can anybody tell me what this script does?
Okay. So, the
By the way,
variable
that's a plus sign.
the variable number,
So
equals
it's
1,
one,
the integer 1, plus 2 times 3 divided by 4,
Divide by 4. Yes.
which equals 9.
Okay. Now we are into the modulus operator, right? Can anybody tell me what the modulus operator is? Does anybody remember doing division in 5th grade and then you had to find like the remainder of something? The modulus operator is like division, except we're finding the remainder of something, right? If we were to divide this, we'll get some sort of float value, right? As we can see here, 3.66 is a 5, right? When we do a modulus, we're finding the remainder of what 3 cannot go into 11. So 3 can go into 11 3 times, and the remainder of that is 2. Okay, let's go on to the next one, right? Squared and cubed. What do we have here? What's this one right here?
The exponents.
Exponents, yes. So what's 7 up to the second?
49.
And then what's 2 up to the third?
I don't know about it.
8.
Yes, okay, perfect. Rerun this, we get 49 and 8. Okay, what is this script doing right here? Hello world equals a string, hello, plus space, and then plus the string world. What is that outputting? Hello world
Well, with the space in between.
as a string with a space in between.
Yo.
Boom, right there.
Yo.
Now we have lots of hellos with hello times 10. What do you think that might do?
Hello 10 times.
Hello 10 times, as we can see right there. Next thing we have is operators with lists. So, we have even numbers, and then we have odd numbers, and then all numbers equals odd numbers plus even numbers. What does that do?
It makes them one list.
Makes them one list. What order would that be?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
No. What order would that be, everybody?
1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8.
Perfect. As we can see right there. What is line 1 exactly?
It's commenting.
It's commenting. And that means when we run this program,
It does nothing.
it does nothing. It just skips that line.
It's
Okay.
for the developers.
Yes, basically meant for the developers. However, when you're in production, which I doubt anyone's going to go into developing. Maybe, I don't know. Something like that.
Shush!
Well, I don't know, maybe. Just
You're
don't
too
leave
stupid
comments.
to
Don't
do
leave
that.
comments in your source code. You
I
know.
mean, I'm going to computer science next year, so.
Okay. So what's line two doing?
Yeah, you
What
whole
I'm
big
doing
plastic
is just
dildo
the-
there with your girlfriend, bro.
What's line two
The way
doing?
she makes you.
Line 2 is describing the name.
Describing the name. Everybody, how are you doing? All right. What's line 3 doing?
It's printing the name.
Hello, comma, John.
And what is that exactly right
That
there?
is our string, which is John, which is our name.
So that right there is called a placeholder. And if you guys just think of it inside your brains, what's a placeholder?
Oh my.
Something to
Oh
place
my.
something,
Oh
right?
my.
For bass, bro.
Something to place something in, right? And we can
Go
tell.
to the bathroom.
And we can tell what kind of type of line to illustrate here by the letter we have at the end. So S is a what? A
String.
string. Okay, next we have this script right here. Name equals our string John, age equals our integer 23. What's our print statement doing?
It is saying placeholder for string and then is placeholder for an integer and then years old. It prints that.
Yes.
Then it later says the string is the variable name and then it says the integer is variable name.
Yes, and as you can see, they're in order, right? String here is represented as this string here. Our integer D is represented as our integer age right there. They have to be in order. If I were to do, for instance, age and then name, I will get an error, as we can see right there. So, our next thing is that you can also store these with lists, right? And depending on what you're wanting to do for the data set inside our print statement for a string, right? That's how you print it off. So I'm wanting to label my list as a string, and I'm not putting it inside that placeholder right there. I run this, and I get the list. So basic string operators. All right, what's line 1 doing?
It's declaring the variable a string.
All right, and saying that's variable to what?
What? Oh, hello world with exclamation point.
Yes, and then we're doing our second line. What's our second line doing?
Our second line is single quotes are the single quotation mark.
Yes, so it just prints this entire string right there. Yeah. What's line 4 doing?
It prints the length of a string. So it prints 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
12 as, yes, so 12 as an integer. Yeah, so print it as an integer, right? And it basically is telling you how long that string is. All right, what's this script doing? What's our first line doing?
Calling the variable a string.
And
And the value of the string hello world.
and then what's our second line doing?
Printing it.
Printing it with what, right? What do we have after a string? We have a string dot.
It prints 4 because 4 is how far away it is in index value.
Yes.